Hiya, Ros Knox here. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about our brains and what's going on in our minds as to why we get scared and why we get anxious. I think sometimes when you understand something, that helps you to be less fearful of it. When we're little, we're afraid of the dark because it's the unknown. We don't know what's hiding in the dark. So if I explain a little bit about why we get anxious, why we feel the way we do, I thought that might help you a little bit to be less scared of yourself, of your own mind. The days where you're feeling like crap and you don't know what's going on in your own heads. If we understand it a little bit better, it won't be so scary. So there's loads of different parts of our brain, but I'm not going to explain about all of them. The part I'm going to explain to you about is our amygdala. Now, you've probably heard of it. It's only actually the size of a walnut. It's tiny in the back of our brains. What the amygdala does is it's in charge of our fight, flight or freeze response. So you've probably heard of fight, flight or freeze, or fight or flight, definitely. So yes, our amygdala, that's what it's in charge of. When we're afraid of something, it triggers. So I'm going to use this as a little demonstration for you. So just imagine that this is our amygdala. And ever since we were born, it's going like this. Firing off, assessing the situation, assessing what's going on. Now, the only things we're afraid of when we're born are loud noises and falling. Everything else we learn. We learn from our parents, we learn from watching TV, we learn from teachers at school, other kids at school. We're constantly learning what to be afraid of, what needs to be assessed as danger. So, for example, when you're little and you're learning to cross the road and you're holding the adult's hand and they pull you back and say, oh no, there's a car coming, don't go yet. What happens is we learn that that's a dangerous thing. We learn not to cross the road when there's cars coming. So, of course, that's very, very important to be able to learn what to be afraid of and what not to be. What not to be are things like when people say things to us at school, bullying, for example. I always use this example. We get called a nasty name. And what our amygdala does is go, oh, I didn't like that. Much as when the car's coming, shit, there's a car coming. We don't like being told horrible things about us when we're being bullied. So that fires off. I don't like that. We also learn things, our fears and phobias, particularly spiders. We're not born with a fear of spiders, but for example, if you watch something on telly or your mum's afraid of spiders, and when you're tiny, she screams because there's a spider. Ah, there's a spider, get it out, get it out. You then, your little amygdala, your little mind goes, oh, a spider. That means danger. That means I need to be afraid of that. And all this information that's coming in all the time from all over the place gets stored for us to remember and for us to assess what's dangerous and what isn't. Now, like I say, a lot of the stuff we learn is really important for us to remember. But when it's not important for us to remember, necessarily, it still gets stuck. It gets stuck. And the next time that happens to us, the next time we're called a name at school, our amygdala goes, I remember that, I don't like it, and it fires off that panic. So panic attacks are when the Google brain of ours remembers a scenario, remembers a situation that we logically probably can't actually recall now because it happened so many years ago. But our amygdala, along with the rest of our brain, remembers this feeling that we had at that time when that happened, and it fires off in our brains that that's dangerous, or that we don't like it, that needs to be controlled. So, fight or flight. Are you going to run from this situation, or are you going to fight it, or are you going to freeze? Are you going to hide away and not talk to anybody anymore because you're too scared of everything and everyone? When this happens over and over and over and over again, every time this is spiked and released, it releases chemicals into our body. It releases those chemicals in order for us to be able to fight or flight or run away. As early man, as Neanderthals, all we needed to learn to do was to be able to fight the creature that's attacking us or run away from it. So, but as humans, we've evolved and we don't need all this adrenaline, this chemical release into our body anymore to run away from danger, but it's still released into our bodies. So that's why we have this anxiety all the time, and we feel all these physical symptoms, like we feel sick, we feel like we can't breathe, and all the blood rushes to your limbs in order for you to be able to run away. But what that does is it takes everything away from the least important parts of your body in order for you to be able to run or fight. So that's why we end up with problems with our digestive system. It's why when we're anxious, we quite often feel like we need a wee all the time. Have you ever heard of the expression shit scared? It's because it's likely that you're going to feel that you need to do that when you're frightened, because all the blood's rushed to the parts of your body that need to fight or run away, and it takes it from everywhere else that's not necessary. So that's why we feel these physical symptoms when we're anxious, when we're having panic attacks, because our brains are designed in order for us to be able to fight or to run away. So this is constantly going on in our minds, in our daily lives, especially these days when everything's so hectic, when I know we're not working at the moment because of the lockdown necessarily, but going to work might make you anxious and you're going to go, oh, I don't like it. Driving somewhere might make you anxious and you don't like it. Going somewhere that you don't know